Must be off changing diapers. All right, there we go, Google. A little bit of a drop here off of the highs at 118.25. Contracts are about break even right now. QQQ is almost trading at 360 now, though. So that could be a bit of a concern for puts if there is a reversal in sentiment. Well, let's see where the volume is going. Volume is going into the 360 calls at 12,000 versus only 3,200 puts. The 360 ones are pretty popular, 8,000, only 900 puts. So this does signal a little bit more upside if the market makers want to chase this. Let's see where Google is going. I got the 115 puts, not very popular today, but there's about 600 traded so far this morning, 380 calls. So there's not a lot of volume going into Google right now. The open interest is still pretty high for the puts down to 115, and then the drop down to 460 at the 114 strike. But let's see. The 115s are going for 42 now. I bought them for 38. So a little $35 profit so far on the trade. And QQQ just above 360 at the moment. So looking like we're getting some upside in the tech names. Rejection at 360.5 so far, but pretty big range that it's set. 358.75 to 360.5 for the first 10 minutes. Pretty crazy. All right, Microsoft pulling back from its highs at 334. Contracts are going for 140 each. So we could end up opening that one if we do expect a reversal from the highs. Checking out those Google contracts going for 43 now. 46. Amazon's pulling back here down to 128. Q's just sitting right below 360 right now. Apple seems to want to go up back to 187.5 again. Yesterday it got rejected at 188, so I'm not sure if that'll play out again, but I'm currently trading at 186.70. All right, those Google contracts are gaining their value, up 35%. Trading at 117.5 for the name. And they went all the way up to 60 at the peak this morning. Not sure if we'll get that out of it, but we're looking for 117 to get those contracts back to 60. Yeah, it looks like every other name but Google is going up right now. So it chose a good name to short. But that is going to limit the downside on it, I would imagine. Meta is actually down too, so that could be a decent one. Meta. It looks like Amazon and then Google. The three names that are down, and the rest of them are still doing okay. QQQ back to 360 and some change. Just floating around that strike price. Not giving us a clear direction for you now. Tesla's flat here between 245 and 240. Not too shocked with those popular strike prices. Well, let's see where the volume is headed. 11,000 calls at the 245, 12,000 puts at the 240. So you have about equal bulls and bears there. Let's see where the Q's volume is at again. Looks like there's actually more calls for the 360 strike price than puts for 359 and below. So not really signaling bearishness to me right now. Could end up changing, but we have about 15 minutes until the consumer confidence report. That could end up shaking the markets up a little bit. But yeah, like I thought, QQQ just trading flat between 359 and 360. You'll probably get the move once the consumer confidence report comes out at 10 a.m. Would be my guess. That's when you get a significant move one way or the other. Probably wouldn't want to hold the Google contracts into the report, so we will have to close in the next 15 minutes on that trade. Meta's coming on down though, down to 281. Apple's still going up, trying to hit that 187.5 strike price again today. And Google seems to just be finding a balance at 117.5 right now. A lot of 118 calls that are getting bought at the moment, 1,500 in volume. You actually have a decent amount of volume on the 119 puts though. Interesting enough, people buying in the money puts. But that 118 call is kind of worrying me here. There's still more open interest for the puts at 118 to keep us down, but looks like they're trying to stack up the 118 calls, doubling down at 1,200 open interest, 1,600 in volume. And there's not really that many puts that are getting bought today. I mean, the most you're seeing is the 119 with 1,059, 2,700 in open interest, so not too much incentive for the market makers to send it down a ton today. The 115s are somewhat popular at 1,000. But you would imagine that the 115s would be more popular than 119s, but not the case today. Not a lot of people buying out of the money puts for Google. Besides yours truly. $630 contracts this week. Too much, so I rolled and closed. Yeah. 721. Lots of time for that one. Alright, I think I'm just going to have to take the small profit on the trade. For Google, we got 13 minutes till the report is out. I'd like to get as much profit as I can out of it, but these contracts really aren't gaining much with this flat trading action. The ask is 45, the bid is 44, 43 now. So they're dropping the bid on me. Luckily, I got them cheap at 38, so it's still a profit, but not as much as I would like for the trade. All right. Yeah, they're going for 44. They keep floating the bid ask. Kind of want to hold the contracts into the report, but it doesn't make too much sense to hold that kind of volatility. You're seeing some recovery for Meta, it's looking like. Amazon, some recovery there too at 128. So yeah, Google likely dead in the water here. So I'll get out at 43 each. And I missed it. I'll just leave the limit order and see if it fills. Give it some time. But yeah, finding some support at about 117.5 right now. Could end up dropping below it after the report, but I don't want to take my chances with all the tech names getting some recovery. Tesla's above 245 again. 246 nearly. Meta's trading to 284, recovering off a 280.9. Microsoft just continuing that uptrend. Let's see, probably lots of calls at 335 getting bought today in volume, I would imagine. Yeah, 7,500 in volume. Those are expensive contracts, though, 250. And the volume on Q's support in the 360 level right now. 25,000 calls bought this morning. Only 6,000 puts. So yeah, looks like a bullish day for the Qs right now. Again, I would be expecting us to maybe pivot about 362 if we do end up coming back down with 3,000 puts and open interest, 7,700 calls. And the volume drops down from the 361 to the 362 pretty sharply for the puts. So we'll see. 358 to 362 is my guess for today, but could be crazier with this consumer sentiment report coming out. Sold the 177 contracts for Apple. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, trading right at 187. So that might be your mark to look for today. Similar to 188 yesterday. That was the point that it double topped at. People selling out pretty sharply from the Google contracts. 7 minutes to the report. And Q seems to be getting a pretty good rally out of this. Amazon's recovering off of 128. Nvidia's back to 412. Microsoft. Tesla getting rejected at about 245 though. Let's see where the volume is on Tesla. I'd imagine the 250 calls are popular. Yeah, 21,000. The 240 puts have 19,000. So there's about equal bulls and bears, $5 apart between 240 and 250. So it could be a pretty mixed day for Tesla. For Nvidia, looks like they're stacking on the calls. Not that many puts below us. Not as many puts, I should say. At 410 and 405. More volume at 415, 420. To lead us up on Nvidia today. Amazon actually has a decent amount of calls getting bought and hardly any puts, so this could be a decent squeeze too. I would probably want to see a breach of the pre-market highs, which it did for just a second, but then ended up coming back down at about 129. Google's chilling at 118 now. It's about 50 cents higher off of that support level. But kind of just finding itself in a range right now between 118.25 and 117.50. So this one's not seeing nearly the same love as all the other names. So if the report is bearish, this one would probably fall a bit more. Summertime people spending money. It could be. The last report, I think, was actually pretty good, if I remember right. Forecast is 104 for this report. Last month it was 102.3 versus 99 expected, so a decent beat there, but going from 102.3 to 104 seems like a bit of a jump. But yeah, you're right. It is summer months. People would be spending more money generally. Just being out more during the summer. But I think 104 is a bit of a stretch. If you trade, your broker gets paid. Absolutely. They always get to keep the difference between the bid and the ask every time. Microsoft's pulling back a little bit from 334. So this would be a point for a pivot if we do get it, which is about the high that we saw earlier at 334 too. So those Microsoft puts are going for 113, so extremely cheap for the 327.5, although they are 5 points out of the money, 6 points out of the money, so you are stretching it. And I don't think that the volume is signaling much more downside for today, at least. Again, lots of 335 calls and nothing amounting to that many puts. All right, report is coming out in 30 seconds. Let's go. Keeping an eye on Microsoft on the top here. Apple seems to still be struggling with that 187 level as well. All right, there's the report. Let's refresh the page here. Not there yet. All right, CB consumer confidence. Not seeing it. 109.7 versus 104 expected, so very, very hot. That ought to send the dollar up, I would think, if it's that high. That would be expansionary, where the dollar would rise, yields would probably rise, and that's what you're getting out of the dollar so far, from 102.40 to 102.46. Not really affecting the Qs too much yet. You saw a high at 362 almost, but pulled back immediately there. Rates are definitely going to have to go up on that, so this might have some mixed reactions for tech. That might be too high of a reading for tech to go up. Yeah, the VIX could end up breaking down from that, but seeing Microsoft popped on the release, but then dropped down to 333 from 334. So I think you get a mixed reaction out of this. It is a good report, but it's too good, I would think, would be the market's reaction. So rates are going to go up, the dollar is going to go up. Qs could be weighed down from that, but markets could also see it as expansionary as to more profits to come for these big tech names. But yeah, the dollar, or not the dollar, the VIX went to 14.10 down to 14. So still trading at the 13s, very low. Microsoft just doesn't want to move at 333. Could be just a small pullback before the next rally. Let's see how this affected other names. IWM up after the report. That seems to be in line with what I would expect. Let's see, the Dow Jones going down after the report. That's a bit shocking. I would have thought that the rotation trade would have been better. But yeah, we are basically dead flat after the report. Not really moving any names. Tesla's at 247 almost though, so this one could still be bullish. Meta still going up from its lows at 280 and change. Microsoft losing its lead. And I think we're getting basically the same trading action from Amazon and Google here. Both just flat from the start. Apple pulling back from 187, just barely though. Similar to what Microsoft is doing at 334. And Nvidia stuck at 410 right now. The 400 puts are actually starting to get pretty popular. 7,200 in volume. Not many people buying the 397 and a halves or 395s though. But lots of calls above us. All the way up to 425. Made $11. Time to go buy a Ferrari. How do I think this news is going to affect the NASDAQ? I think it's just a mixed reaction, so I think we're just going to get the same flat trading action that I expected from the start. It's trading right at like 360 on the nose. So likely just going to trade us between 358 and 362 for the day, would be my guess. But if we do end up managing down below 358, 357, it's a lot more puts there to where we might start to get bearish, but that's still another $2.5, $3 from where we're at right now. Nvidia's actually dropping on the report so far. Oh, where did it? There we go. So you could have some downside on Nvidia. probably want to breach the pre-market lows at 408 before you hop in on those. And the 400 puts for this week are going for $400, so they're expensive for sure. Doesn't mean they can't get more expensive, but spending $400 on a contract is pretty hard. Pretty hard sell for me. They were going for 350 up to 390 on this drop here. And right below the pre-market lows. After hour lows are at 405.50. Let's see if we can spot any upside so we can hedge maybe. Meta's pulling back from 285. Tesla's pulling back from 247. Microsoft actually did pull back there. Interesting enough. From 334 to 332. So it does seem like we're getting a bit of a reversal. It took about 10 minutes for that to be felt in the market, but yeah, pretty much across the board. Deep in the money contracts, yeah. Deep in the money contracts just doesn't have the same delta to price ratio or delta to premium ratio, so that's why I prefer that out of the monies. It is more, I would say, gambly, if you want to call it that, but as long as you have decent trade structure, have a decent risk reward on it, and make sure you cap your losses not to the max loss, then I would say you're fine. Because if you do get these squeezes, say if Google drops down to 115 by some miracle by the end of the day, I don't think that it would, unless we see QQQ down to 357. But if it does, the delta for these is, let's see, -19 with a gamma of 8. So for every $1 it drops, I make 20. Purchase the contracts at, what was it, 38? So that's, 50% profit just on a $1 drop down to 116.5. So I think if I see the 116 handle, 116 in the front of this, I might actually end up closing there. But yeah, we're seeing a pullback across the board. Nvidia's down to 407. So after a breach those pre-market lows, it is headed down pretty quick. Contracts went from 400 when we were looking at them to 430 already. QQQ down to 358.90. Still need to see 358, 357 to be bearish though. Did somebody say gambling? Sophisticated gamblers. Alright, well, these contracts really aren't doing much for me. There's actually a decent amount of volume on that last 5-minute candle at 10:05. Sent these contracts from 35 to 41. Let's see the total volume in Google for the 115 puts that I bought. Still don't think that it's amounting to much, but it could start to add up here with everything pulling back. Yeah. People actually stacking on the 115, 116, and 117 strike prices here. 1,500 volume for the 115s, 1,100, 1,200 for the 116s, 1,300 for the 117s. Not really much volume for calls at these strikes, but 118, there's about 3,000. So there's still more 118 calls than there is out of the money puts. So I think if it does manage to go back above 118, I'll probably end up having to close for a loss. But right now we're getting close to the morning lows. 117.30 right now. Contracts are up 26%. In QQQ, trading in the mid 358s at the moment. Very nice. Good morning, Asher. Scared money don't make no money. Scared money don't make no money. Hey. All right, Google. Let's see 116. So I can get my ass out of this trade. Looks like they recovered Nvidia a bit there. Still headed lower, still below the pre-market lows. Not much of a recovery, but they dropped those contracts from 450 to 390. So pretty steep drop for those contracts. Amazon's hitting new lows right now. Huh. Wouldn't have thought that Amazon would have been the squeeze, but let's see. There's so many calls above 129, 130, and hardly any puts getting bought. So that's kind of surprising to see Amazon being the loser. The loser at the lows. The 125 strikes went from 45 to 62. So not much of a gain, but it's still some. Still a little something, something. I'd probably be interested in the 127s, going closer to the money. Trading for 125, up from 100. But seems like we got some support for Qs at about 359. It went all the way down to 358.50, but couldn't end up dropping a little bit lower. Again, if we get down to 358, that would be pretty bearish, but that save at 358.60 or so could end up keeping us up. Right now, relative strength RSI is at 44, so it's somewhat weak, not extreme. For Google, this is closer to extreme at 37. Nvidia's still losing it there, almost a new low. taking a mortgage and going on all in on FDs. Instructions unclear. At a 7% rate. Oh man. Alright, well. We're headed down, but just very, very, very slow. At this rate, probably not. All I want to see is 116 in the front of it. So like 116.99 would be enough for me to pull the trigger. Funny how the one name that I need to go down after the report is the one that's trading flat. Yeah, Microsoft going down, Meta going down, Tesla going down, Nvidia going down, Amazon going down, Google flat. It is down the worst today, 1.3%, but quite annoying. $116 on Apple, no. For Google, 116 on Apple would be crazy. CCL, yeah, they had their earnings, I think, yesterday. Dropped pretty heavy, 16.50 down to 14. It's what, a 10% drop or so. But back to 15.26. So still down from its high. And still down from pre-earnings at 15.16. I would think that Carnival would actually have a good outlook, but I guess their earnings came in worse than expected, and they were part of the gamma squeeze that's been happening for a lot of stocks the last couple of weeks, going from 1080 all the way up to 16 before earnings. So there's a lot of risk in that trade, so giving up some of that risk here post earnings. But yeah, not really doing too much today. 359 for Q, so it's just sitting right in that 359, 360 range. Trying to break below it, but not enough confidence to sell it off below 359 significantly. But yeah, if you got in puts on that report, definitely doing well now. 362 to 359, $3 move, 1%. But just having a real hard time at 359. Yeah. Carnival and all the cruise lines have a ton of debt from COVID to pay off. And with interest rates getting jacked up the last couple of years, it's awful for them. God dang it, Google. Do something here. Do something for me. Looks like Apple is reversing 186.20 to 186.75. Microsoft catching some lows at 331. Tesla just trading at 245, not moving much at all. Meta had that drop in the beginning, but it's very similar to what Google is doing, just trading back and forth. So no direction for Google, no direction for Meta. Tesla, no direction. Microsoft seems like it wants to keep coming down, but finding some supports lower at 331, where this could be a pivot. And if it follows what Apple did, could go higher there. Amazon went to a lower low, but then pivoted off of it at 127.50. And QQQ just smack dab in the middle between 359 and 360. Nvidia still has some downside momentum to it. 38 for the RSI. I don't think that they dropped those 400 puts in the price of them, but we can check. They're trading at 395. Google's getting so close to 118. Yep. Tagged 118. Still needs to go a little bit higher to reach new highs of this range. 118.25. These contracts were going for 33 cents a day, and they've lost some time value to them. but not trading significantly above 118 yet. All right, well, looking like I'm going to have to take this L. At about 30 cents, I bought them at 38, 5 of them, so about a $40 loss. We'll try to find something with some momentum to go into it. Still not quite at the highs, but close enough to make me uncomfy. God dang it, they keep switching the bid on me. Okay, I think I might be able to get out of 30 instead of 29. It's $5, not much of a difference, but we'll see. So far looking like a rejection from that high at 118.30, but this range is just killing me. Back down under 118 again. Yeah, I think we're just going to get trapped here from the looks of it until we see QQQ going under 359. All right. Well, in the meantime, let's look for something with some momentum to it. Nvidia's got some momentum to the downside. That 400 puts trading at 415. Q's is right at 50, so you can't call it bullish or bearish here. Amazon's at 50. Apple's trading at 63, but getting rejected again at 187. Microsoft seems like it wants to go lower too. And Tesla's just dead flat at 245. You get like 75 cents in the other direction here. Meta seems like it wants to go up, but it got rejected at 285. So that probably wouldn't be a good trade. Yeah, I think the best opportunities right now seem to be Nvidia, and maybe Microsoft. So we'll look into those trades. Nvidia is definitely going to be expensive because it already had that drop from 40. I think it was like 412 actually this morning. But there's not that much volume going in below 400. That's my problem. If there was more people buying below 400, I would be more enticed to get these. But and then for Microsoft, trading at 331.50, still up about 0.9%, so still doing well today. And there's actually decent volume down to 325. The volume on the calls is pretty hot at 335 though. So we'll see. I'll copy the 325 put. That's not that. There we go. Going for 93 at the moment. I would still like to see Microsoft breaching that 331 level, which would put these contracts above $1 each. Trading in 91 right now. All right, they're going for 95, so already jumping in price. I'll put my order in for 90. I think it's too late. I was going to do 94, but almost cracking that low. Momentum is kind of flat here at 46, but breaching that 331 level should put us at about 40 on the RSI to where we begin to be at weak. But so far, seems to be catching some balance around here between 331 and about 332 and some change. So it is a bit more of a risky trade, but payoff could be higher if it does play out below 331. Let's see, and these contracts have the low at about 78 cents. So if it does go the other direction, we would probably take about a $30, $40 loss. All right, 90 cents each. Yeah, that's a good price. Just not sure on momentum though. Just doesn't have the momentum to crack 331 yet. We could end up chasing it after, but I'd rather get in at a cheaper price. How was the report? It was higher than expected, much higher than expected. which ended up sending rates and the dollar up, which had a negative impact on QQQ, but kind of mixed reactions to it, I would say, where QQQ is just trading flat for the day at least. But from the report, it was trading at 361, 362, ended up dropping to 358, and now we're just kind of neutral at 360. Daily goal for profit, I'd like to make about 100, 150, but consistency on a daily basis is pretty hard to reach, I would say. Man, Tesla is not moving at all. Flattest day for Tesla we've seen in a while. Yeah, Microsoft seems to just want to go back and forth between 331, 332. We could try to get it a little bit higher at like 331.75 and above, get these contracts for cheap. They're going for 91 cents, 90 cents now. I think we might have to bite the bullet and pay the extra couple dollars for them, though. All right, there we go. Should be in at 90 a piece. Just opened a new Microsoft 325 put at 90. Expiring 6/30. And my hope is that it drops below the lows at 330 or 331. That would be my signal to exit for the upside. 332 would be my exit to the downside for me. All right, we're at 47 on the RSI, so slightly weak, but still neutral, close to 50. Contracts are going for 94, so up of $15 so far. Still waiting to see below 331. And Google's trading at 118 still. So we're at the highs for the range, or close to the highs for the range, and seems to want to keep going up here. We got a higher low. So probably worth it to exit that contract. Got them for 38. They're going for 31, so that's $35 loss. Hopefully we can make it up with Microsoft here. Trading at 331.50, so right smack dab in the middle of where I needed to break out. Everything is just kind of trading flat here. All right, there we go. Microsoft's going lower, almost to the new lows. Contracts are at a 27 profit. I got 3 of them. There we go. Touching the new low, but not quite breaking it. Contracts are going for 95. We'll see if we breach it or not. Not too much needed to breach the low, but they're killing the bid ask. Well, it was 97, 100, now it's 99, so they tightened it. Thankfully for us. All right. There it is. Cross below. Sell these contracts for 50 profit or so. Let's see, 3 of them. They're going for 98. I bought them for 91. I think we might be able to get a little bit more for the contracts, given a little time. The volume for these is pretty low, though. It's not too many people buying into them, even with the drop. All right. Going for 104. That's enough for me. 107. I'll get out at 105. Actually, a little bit higher. 318 for 3. So 106 was my closing price. Just took profits on the Microsoft 325 put, expiring 6/30 at 106. Damn near close to the highest of these contracts went. 109. Could end up dropping more and I might miss out on some opportunity. But all I wanted to see was that lower low, and that's what we got. So take the profits and leave it. $800 a week. Yes, yeah, if you're 100 to 150, that would be 150 times 5, 750 a week. Unless you're trading crypto on the weekends, which I wouldn't want to trade crypto on the weekends. I wouldn't want to trade at all on the weekends, honestly. Trading is stressful as it is. Don't need to add 2 more days to it. Yeah, you could always miss out on profits. I constantly miss out on profits. Like yesterday, I had some Tesla puts for the 245 strike price. If we look at those contracts for this week, I ended up selling out at like 400, and by the end of the day, they were going for like 800. So yeah, I could have made $400 more. Would have been great, but I have a plan going into it. What price levels I want to see. and then I'm in or I'm out of the trade. Like for Google right now, it's just trading flat 117 to 118. So I'm looking for a breakout either above or below. I'll cut my losses above or take my profits if it ends up going to the new lows below 117. But right now it's just dead in the middle. Yeah, missed out on profits for the Microsoft. They're going for 112 now. So that would have been another like $25 in profit or so. House renovation money. Nice. Having a house in this economy, that's a flex. With housing prices and interest rates as high as they are, it's crazy. Housing affordability is completely awful. Let's see. We're getting a little bit of downside for Tesla here. Finally losing that 245 level. You're getting some support at about 243. 45 in the RSI, so slightly weak, still okay though. And again, QQQ not going above 360, not going below 359. Just right there in the middle, like we said this morning. Too much push and pull from the open interest. The volume is actually skewed a little bit more to the bears. 359 strike price has 65,000 and a 360 call has 60,000, so about 10% more puts getting bought. Google's retrying those highs at 118.25. Try again. This will be the 1, 2, 3, 4th time. Meta is looking the exact same too. The range being 282 to 285 instead of 117 to 118 for Google. And Microsoft just bouncing off that low there. Went all the way down to 330.30. Bounced higher. All right, there's Google. We're at 118.25 again. We're looking pretty strong, 55 for the RSI. So I think that'll be enough to signal my exit. Sorry. All right. Dang it. Yeah, definitely headed higher after 118.25. right, so that one closed him at 35, bottom at 38. So 13 times 5, a little bit more than 60. 65 loss. Okay. Still downside on Nvidia. Momentum is still bearish there. 40 on the RSI. Making new low after new low. Qs though, man. Not giving any direction to us. Meta could get a decent breakout if it follows what Google just did. Let's see where the options are headed. Lots of 285 calls today. Not too much above that though. Pretty steep drop off for the volume. Open interest is higher at the 290 strike. Going for 190 a piece. That is expensive for that contract. To assume Meta would go up $10. That's pretty nutty by the end of the week. I'm going for 188. The highest that they went was 240 this morning. So if they can break the 285 level, which is about $1.25 from now. Let's see, they would be going for $1 more on Delta, $1.50 more actually. Which would give us wait a minute, what strike were we looking at? 290 call. Looking at the wrong side. 29 Delta, so that would be 45. And these contracts are going for 189. I would probably want to watch out for a lower low, 283.33, which is pretty close too. Yeah, looking at the open interest, the volume, it does seem like it wants to go higher. Not a lot of puts getting bought on the volume. Lots of 285 calls getting bought, so they're going pretty close to the money there. And that is for Meta. Yesterday this dropped 290 to 280. Now it's at 284, so we're recovering a little bit from its drop yesterday. Trading right at those previous lows. A little bit higher. Alright, I'm going to try to get them at 180. Just one of them for now. They just Went up to 183, 185. God dang it. Always too late for these contracts. All right, now they're 178. I'll take that. Nope. Too low. I swear every time it gets into my buying range, they just send it right back up. All right, well, I don't want to pay 190 for them, so I think we'll have to miss out until we get down to 180. First time losing money. Won't be the last. Promise you that. Especially if you're just buying regular calls, regular puts, you're going to be wrong about 50% of the time. So be ready to be wrong a lot. Yep, Meta's trading at 284 now. Not going to pay more than 190 for those contracts, though. I'll wait for them to pull back to 180. Look around in the meantime, see if we have anything. Apple is just flat at 187. Microsoft is still headed down here. Could maybe re-enter those contracts. The 325s. Because this one definitely still has a momentum to the downside. Looking at 41 for the RSI. So going back to the 325 put, currently going for 105, 104. If we're looking at Microsoft, currently trading at 330 and change, 330.75. The highest that they went was 113, trading at 109 right now. I wouldn't want to pay more than $1.10. All right, Meta pulled back to 180 for those contracts again. Meta itself trading at 283.55. Google still headed higher at 118.50. So this is a similar play. Meta would be an upside move. And again, there's a lot more 285 puts than there is, sorry, 285 calls than there is puts below us to try to keep us going higher. But it looks like we got rejected at 285. Just a little bit above it. And there go those Microsoft contracts to 118. All right, there's the new low on Meta. Could signal a reversal. I just don't really see it in the options though. If people were loading up on the 280s, then I'd be confident for the trade, but there's about half the volume in puts. It's not a trade I feel comfy in. Could maybe re-enter Google, but that one is still in an uptrend at 60 on the RSI, so hard to bet against. Yeah, Microsoft saw a steep drop after that new low, so those contracts are very hot. Let's see if we can find another opportunity. Maybe Amazon could crack the lows. Let's see where the volume is going. Lots of calls, 128, 129, 130. Ended up pivoting at 129. The 127, 126, 125s aren't very popular on the puts, but the open interest for the 125s is intriguing. These are going for 55. Highest they went this morning was 73. So for Amazon, I'm looking for a new low, which would be under 127.5-ish, which is only 30 cents, so it's not a lot. And I would want to cut losses probably above top of this range, 128.15 or so. So maybe we can wait on a little bit of a pullback or a little pop higher, get these a little bit cheaper. But man, Microsoft's really pulling it back here. QQQ at 359, so that could start some bearishness for the tech names. Google's back down to 118.20. So back in the range that it was before. All right, well, it looks like we're going to have to buy these high if we want to get them. All right, they're going for 57. 58. I really want to get him for 56, but I don't know if we'll be able to. 55, 56 would be nice. But I think I'm going to have to pay the extra $1. They just sent him up. God dang it, man. All right, I'm going to get it at 58 if possible. All right, there we go. Should be in 58. All right. So we'll wait to see if we get any direction. I'm waiting for a new low for Amazon, which ought to put these contracts a little bit above 60. Currently going for 55, 57 for the bid and ask. So we'll set an alert at 127.50, I'm thinking. At or below. And then if we break top of range, 128.20, we'll want to exit those. All right, and that's the last trade for today. And I will catch y'all tomorrow at 9:30. See everybody. Can a 18-year-old start a Roth IRA? You should be able to, yes. And I'll catch y'all tomorrow. See you, everybody.